You're listening to episode 55 of The Marketer's Mindset with Brian Burkhardt. Welcome back to The Marketer's Mindset, the podcast where we talk about how to create and sustain a powerful mindset to help you build a successful online business and lead a happy and abundant life. Guys and girls, I'm really excited to be talking with today's guest. He's a designer and entrepreneur from Israel who soon after finishing design school launched a local blog in Hebrew called Pixel Perfect Magazine. Within half a year later, he quickly gained success and notoriety and began getting asked for public speaking gigs in Israel, which soon led to an amazing offer from Fiverr to come and be their first on-site designer. But with that burning entrepreneurial spirit inside, he decided to later leave Fiverr with the dream of having his own startup. So he joined a couple of people and co-founded a startup called Multa and got accepted to Up West Labs in Palo Alto, California, aka Silicon Valley. During this 4-month journey there, he became connected with other designers and big thinkers. Though he was making some passive incomes with his local blogs he had created, he wanted to give more value and actually get more value out of the international community. So he and his partners decided to pivot and started a new company from scratch called TapDog. Now back in Israel, a couple months later, his company caught the attention of SimilarWeb, who would eventually acquire his startup. He then started an international design blog called hackingui.com and then also began working at SimilarWeb. Now with him and his wife in a new apartment with a mortgage and 2 kids in addition to his startup, along with 2 side projects running simultaneously, my guest found he was working extremely hard, not exercising, and found his life running him instead of him running his life. Always looking for answers and ways to improve, he came across and read The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. After going over the numbers he and his partner were making from their blog, he decided to quit his day job and work the startup full-time. Being the sole supporter of his wife and 2 kids, and with just 2 months of financial reserves, this entrepreneur dove into his venture with both feet. He went for 6 months with not being able to take even a single dime from the business and had no salary. While listening to the inspiring story of guest Calvin Wayman on the John Lee Dumas podcast, Entrepreneur on Fire, and reading Calvin's book, Fish Out of Water, my guest became excited and reached out to Calvin for some coaching. Upon hearing Calvin's coaching fee, he got some sticker shock. He then approached his business partner about doing the coaching with Calvin, and he said, no way. Even his own father said no, that it was too pricey. So he had to say no to Calvin's coaching offer. Knowing he still needed guidance, he reached out to a more affordable local coach who, after working with for a while, disappointingly produced no results. With a loving and supportive wife, debts that had grown to $50,000, and the frustration of not being able to figure out this entrepreneurial thing, despite being a smart guy and listening to all the podcasts like EO Fire, Pat Flynn's Smart Passive Income, he decided to reach out to numerous successful entrepreneurs and ask for advice. One of those being Calvin Wayman, who said, in quotes from our guest, "Listen, man, I gave you a talk, or I can coach you. Now I'm offering this again. Do you want my help?" So my guest decided to bite the bullet, spend the money, and hire Calvin as his coach, despite what everyone else was telling him. Quickly, he began to follow Calvin's advice, and his business began to flourish, crushing his income goals months before their deadlines. Now, he was a successful business, the founder of Israel's popular Pixel Perfect magazine. He's a mentor for startups at Google Campus TLV, the co-host of the Hacking UI podcast with co-host David Tinter, and the creator of the amazing Facebook community, Mindful and Ruthless, a tribe of like minded doers, of which I am grateful to say that I have the privilege of being a part of. Everybody, please welcome Sagi Shrieber to the show. Sagi.
Wow, what an intro, my man. Thank you so much. Really, really excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. I love hearing your story. I actually heard it from Pat Flynn's podcast on the Smart Passive Income. I was going through. I love listening to his podcast, and I saw the title and decided to listen to it. And I was like, "Wow, this is awesome!" And going through researching you for this, I found out we have a couple things in common here.
Oh, really?
Um, yeah, we're both fathers. I
All
have
right.
three boys myself.
Nice.
I'm a bit older than you, so my kids are older. My youngest one's 21.
Oh, wow,
Um,
really?
yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Um, we both know Kelvin Wayman. I've had him on the show here as a guest when he first started out,
Nice.
and also we both are podcasters.
Yeah, man. Living the life.
Yeah, it's fun and exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's totally exciting to be part of this generation that we can podcast and talk to other people on the other side of the world and, share knowledge and it's amazing.
Yeah, I love it. We were just talking before the show here, and you're like 5 hours ahead of me, so you're already in the afternoon on Monday, and I'm recording this here in Arizona in the morning on Monday. So it's amazing that we're able to do this this far distance and have a great conversation.
Yeah, man, totally. I'm very happy to be here. So thank you so much for allowing me to be here on the show and sharing my story.
Yes, my pleasure, Sagi. Now, the purpose of the podcast is to bring on amazing entrepreneurs such as yourself and have you share what you've learned, what you teach to your listeners and students, and some actionable strategies. I want this to be stuff that people can say, wow, take notes during this or re listen to it. And then when they're done listening to the podcast, say, okay, Sagi mentioned these things, and they can actually put things into action that they can start improving their business and their life.
Sure.
Now, a lot of it is around mindset. So, because this podcast focuses, let me ask you, Sagi, how important do you feel mindset has been to your success on this entrepreneurial journey of yours?
Oh man, that's a good question. It's like funny. I guess like everybody listening here is like mindset oriented because that's the audience. But it's funny how much mindset has a huge part of succeeding because it's almost everything in the mindset. Like so, the way I see it, like I also like I teach designers here in Israel. I have a class of designers, and I try to talk to them about mindset, but all they want to do is learn design. So it's
Yeah.
like guys, like listen, if you want to be a successful designer, you have to have the right mindset. It will not help you to be the best designer in the fucking world. Sorry, can we swear here on the show?
No,
um,
go ahead. I want this to be
Sorry.
real.
Yeah, so I'm like people like really you have to have the right mindset in place. And let me talk to you about mindset. And some people just don't get it, but I guess your audience gets it, and it's everything about the mindset. And it's like the most important mind like muscle that you can develop over the time as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, it's not the sexy thing. That's the thing, Sagi. People want the sexy, like, how do I make $1 million in 12 months? Or what's the fancy creative this? And they want all that sexy new stuff. And when you talk about mindset, it's like you always talk about the foundation is so important. And that's the stuff where people don't want to really put in the work. It's tough, it's long, but it's so
Hmm.
needed. And they just skip over that part. And I love what you said. You said, I don't care how great of a designer you are, if you don't have the proper mindset, you're not going to grow. You're not going to build this business.
Yeah, totally. And I think that mindset is sexy, like in a way. Like for me, it's one of the most attractive things that I can learn as an entrepreneur. Just because I'm also like I'm interviewing amazing people that have conquered, a lot of obstacles on their entrepreneurial journey, and everything like that they tell me about what they learned on mindset and stuff like that. So it's just really amazing to learn like more and more on how much the mindset thing is also like maybe it's like a spiritual thing or like kind of like amorphic or but it's also very physical. Did you know that when you have an idea, like physically, neural networks are developing inside your brain?
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't
It's
it?
crazy. It's a yeah. So like I'm learning more and more about these things and about the law of attraction and about how you can make things work the way you want them and momentum and once you start really getting into this, then you start seeing patterns. You start seeing really patterns like with people in your life even like that are close to you and you haven't noticed for years. So I'm really excited about like getting on the thing like getting my mindset trained as much as I can.
I love it. It's you sound just like me. You have a passion for it, and you think it is the sexy part. There's so much to learn about it. And with the science coming out, they're finding that our brains aren't just wired when we're kids and we're done. It can change. It can grow. It can improve. It's so fascinating what they're coming up with now. Now, one of the
Yeah.
things I like to said, and we're going to circle back around mindset, but I love how you brought up the law of attraction. It's one thing that I like to follow and read on, but I know a lot of people get scared and get that, oh, you're getting into that woohoo, weird, whether it's spirituality, new age stuff.
Yeah.
But I believe in it. I want to get your take on it. What have you learned from a law of attraction, and what have you applied from it that you have seen results with?
So the thing is this, like I heard about it a couple of times, but I think like the first time I I didn't even like Calvin talked to me about it, and Calvin was like the first day we met and we had our first session, he's like, Sagi, whatever you want the universe to bring to you, it will bring to you, but you really have to be really focused and say, hey universe, I want this and this only. I'm not moving until it happens, and whatever you say that thing is, the universe will bring it to you. And when he told me that, I'm like, some people might be turned off by someone saying something like that to you, but I was like, huh, that makes sense. Like because I'm I have a Buddhist background and I'm like all into karma and stuff like that. And for me, it was more kind of like on a spiritual side, but I never really applied it into my entrepreneurial life. And once I started, like the first week, like really the first week I started working with Kelvin, I was like, I'm gonna get a client. I don't give a fudge. I'm not moving. I'm getting a client right now. Universe, bring me a client. A week later, I'm not kidding. Like I had two clients wanting to close a deal with me and and start working with me in sums that I never would have expected. So I'm like, how did that just happen? And once I saw it's working, I started digging more into it. And I remember the term law of attraction, got into YouTube's research. I found out, listen, like there's tons of amazing celebrities just talking about the law of attraction. So I researched and I found like videos of Will Smith talking about it and Jim Carrey. I
Yes.
have a story about Jim Carrey. I'll tell you in a second. But and Conor McGregor has a full video just on the law of attraction. Like you can search YouTube for law of attraction and Conor
Huge
McGregor.
into that.
Yeah, and so it's like it's amazing. And he's right now. I don't like to anybody who doesn't know who Conor McGregor is. He's a very famous MMA fighter. MMA is like mixed martial arts. It's like kind of like boxing. But you have almost no rules basically. But the thing interesting about like Conor McGregor right now, he goes in the ring with someone and he says, I'm going to knock out this person when he takes a right hook and I'm going to uppercut him or whatever, like says the exact moves that he's going to knock out someone with. And knocking out someone in MMA in an actual UFC fight is very very hard, and he actually says exactly how he's going to do it. He does it, and then when he gets interviewed about it, he's like, I told you that's what's going to happen, and that's what happened. And he's got the law of attraction working for him so hard. And then he's telling a story when he was like 16 and going to parties. He was already messing with the law of attraction, like playing around with the concept by just he's telling the story that he is like going to parties and he's getting into the parking lot and he's just saying, I'm going to get the best parking right now, although the parking lot is full. I'm going to get the upfront most parking right now, and he's going up front, although like other people just go out to the back of the parking lot. um, and the thing is, later I found out also Grant Cardone is exactly the same thing. He's saying the story like that his wife gets mad at him all the time, that he also goes to the front of the parking lot. And those people, those successful people, are playing with this law of attraction have been playing with it for years and years. And the thing right now that's super successful, that's because they've been applying it into their lives. And the law of attraction doesn't mean, of course, just wishing it. Of course, like you have to, again, you have to take action. But like we said before, neural networks are developing inside your brain, and once neural networks, actual physical stuff, are developing inside your brain, once you have your mind around something, then you you automatically, it's like subconsciously, you find the opportunities to take action exactly at the right time when you need to take action towards getting something done. Um, and that's the beautiful thing about the law of attraction. Now, I mean, have I been going on too long, or I have the Jim Carrey story?
No, that's perfect. And I love what you said, Sagi, because it's so important. And a lot of people, when they start hearing about the law of attraction, they think, oh, yeah, you're sitting on your couch wishing for Ferraris and for money and for all this stuff. And you made a point. You clearly said it, and it's so important. You need to take action. So you put it out to the universe what you want. You be specific, and you believe in it. Like Connor, a lot of people think he's cocky and he comes off at it, but it's really a confidence he has that he believes in the law of attraction. He believes if he applies it and he does his part by taking action, it's going to come true. So it's more of a confidence, I think, you know?
Yeah,
And
I think,
when
yeah,
you said
totally.
taking action, I love that you said that because it's so important that you apply it, but you need to take consistent and inspired action.
Totally. And I think that's just taking action is super, super important. Um, there's a lot of things in the law of attraction and in, like, working with the way that you, like, in a specific way in order for things to happen. But still, like, just the fact that that you could wish for something very, very hard and visualize it in your mind, and that thing is now having a better chance of happening for you in your life, that's very comforting. That's very, like, encouraging, I think. And this thing works, like, with the most amazing entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now, have you read any books, Sigi, or just watched a lot of videos or?
No, I actually haven't read any books on the topic. I'm trying out things by stories I hear. So, for instance, the Jim Carrey story. Have you heard of it, about it, with the check?
Yeah, but go ahead and share it because I don't know. There might be somebody that hasn't, but it's
Okay.
powerful. So go share it.
Cool. So Jim Carrey came to Hollywood exactly, I don't know what year, like 1988 or something like that. Basically came and nobody knew him. He was just like a beginning actor, and he just got there. He wasn't poor, but he was not, he didn't have any money, and he was looking for a job. And what he did is like two amazing things. Now he went almost every night up on the hills, and just sat on his car and looked at the hill, at the view, and he was like imagining himself, like visualizing himself already successful, and that really all the people want to work with him, and that he's a very successful actor and does a lot of movies, and like he imagined himself as part of the people that live in the hills. And that's one thing he did. The second thing he did is he wrote himself a check for $10 million, and he put that check in his wallet and left it there. Now I think he wrote the check in like 1990 or something like that. Anyways, he wrote the check for acting services rendered, and he wrote it for to be set out for 1994. And exactly at the year 1994, I think it was like a month or two before the check expiration was due. Then he got the job for Dumb and Dumber 2, which basically closed him $10 million, something like that. So he got the $10 million by writing himself, like basically he wrote himself the check for the exact sum and got the money for the exact amount. And that's crazy. Like when you hear a story like that, you're saying like that's bullshit. And so what I did when I heard that story, and it was back in July or something like that, where 2017, and I was in a huge debt, like you said, and I was just starting out with Calvin, but I knew things were happening for me, and I saw this story by Jim Carrey. I heard the story by Jim Carrey, and I'm going to. Basically, I walk up to the drawer, I pull out the check, like my checks, and write myself a check for a sum that I never would have, like, the sum that I wish for, 50,000 Israeli shekels a month, in half a year. That was kind of like my goal when I first started, which is around,
What does that convert to?
it's
Sagi,
around,
what would that be
I
USD?
think it's around like 15K, something like that.
Okay. Perfect.
right? So I'll make sure, but I think it's like I think it's like something like 15K. Um,
That's fine as long as we get a general idea.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I wished for 15K a month, and that was for me like something that I never earned before. And on the first month working with Calvin, I knew that I was like I crushed 50K Israeli shekels. I mean, so 15K dollars, US dollars. Um,
The very
the
first
very
month?
first month. And then I said to
Wow.
myself, oh my God, like this is working. Like, what if I now can raise with the law of attraction, of course, that says, you could just like break your limiting beliefs, set your goals higher. And I'm also having Grant Cardone in my earphones all the time with 10x, 10x,
Yeah.
um, and said, what if I just go for 100K? So what it is, I wrote myself a check of 100K ILS, which is about $28,000. $28,000. Said if I'm going to have a $28,000 month, this is for me like 100,000 shekels. Is
Yeah.
it's crazy for me. I would never have expected, would never have thought of this sum, and so I wrote the check, put it on my refrigerator, and let it sit there. And that was like end of July 2017. I wrote it for the first 2018. And at the second of the first 2019, like 2nd of January 2018, my wife is going through my accounting software, just going over through the invoices that I sent out, like for my services and course and everything. And she's going over the stuff, and she's like, Sagi, I think we have a mistake. And I'm coming over to watch, and I'm looking at the numbers, and it says like 100,000, like 800 ILS, like Israeli shekels. I'm like,
Wow.
no fucking way. I walk up to the check. I take it from the refrigerator. I hold it up to the computer screen, and I take a picture, and I have that picture with me. Like, I'm never going to leave it alone. That's like, that's amazing. So people, write yourself a check, it might just work.
That is awesome, bud. I love you sharing that stuff. Now, let me ask you, Sagi, other than writing the check and then posting it on the fridge, did you like take it off and like hold it and look at it for like a few minutes a day, or did you do anything else special, visualize with it, or did you just write the check, put it on the fridge where you knew that you would see it from time to time, and then just took action normally like you would?
It's a great question. I mean, I first of all, like I had it in the fridge, right? I put it in a place where I can see it all the time. There's not a day that passed that I didn't see it because it's on the fridge. Um, and and I also, but like the 100K was also in my vision sheet. So that's something else that I did and I built with Kelvin. If you want, we can talk about it. But it's like I was looking and visualizing and tracking on a weekly basis. I'm tracking my vision sheet, which is something I built with Kelvin. And that's the part of taking action, right? That's a part of like you have the law of attraction. You can wish for whatever you want. Now write it down and have a plan for it and track that plan, manage it like you manage your health or manage your whatever like you need to manage. If you have like a job, a business, or money, like manage it. And then when you manage your goals, they happen. So it's a law of attraction combined with taking action, and planning for taking action. And that's the wonderful thing about it. By the way, as you told before, like I was recently on Pat Flynn's Smart Passive Income. I've been following Pat Flynn for over 4 years. He's one of the most amazing people, entrepreneurs like that I ever uh, have come to know in my life. And I was like, I'm the little guy from Israel, and he's like this big shot from the US. And apparently, here we go. And I'm right now like I was on his show, and that's how we got connected. So, and thinking that was just luck, it wasn't. It was actually planned. It was part of my vision that I wrote down first in July 2017 when I was dead broke in debt. So again, law of attraction. I wrote down two names that I wish to be on their podcast. I wrote down JLD and Pat Flynn. And right now, I was on Pat Flynn's show, and I'm right now also working with JLD on his new website. So,
Oh, that is so
yeah.
cool, bud. I actually had JLD on the show.
Oh,
I reached
awesome.
out to him, and he said that he would be a guest on, and he's so busy.
Yeah.
His was like, I've got 25 minutes because I've got like multiple interviews lined up back to
Oh,
back.
he's so
So
amazing.
I had to really like fire the questions and kind of get the top ones with him because it was more of a quick conversation, but
Yeah.
it was exciting. But I set that intention that I wanted to have them. My podcast, I've had some cool guests, but I'm trying to get even more cool,
Hmm.
people like yourself, and then throw in some, big name
Yeah, of
people.
course.
So I've set that intention, and I reached out with confidence, and told them legitimately, hey, I listened to your podcast, I love your stuff, I'm part of this, and I actually
Hmm.
have his podcast software, that the podcast website. That's where I run my podcast show off of. So
Awesome.
I had some connections. I used some of his stuff, but I reached out, and he was gracious and came on. And this was kind of around the time when, I think it was shortly after, he got kind of had to leave his home over there in Puerto
Oh,
Rico
because of
because of the
storm. Yeah.
hurricanes. Yeah, so he was traveling the U.S. and
Wow.
doing like interviews in hotels and crazy stuff. But no, he was really gracious. So
Nice.
that is so cool that you did that, and that you're working on that. It's proves right there that it's powerful, because you can hear these movie stars, and you can listen to Will Smith, and you can, a lot of people make excuses. Well, that's Will Smith. He's got a lot of people and a lot of contacts and a lot of money. Grant Cardone, he's got tons of money from real estate, and
Yeah.
he speaks all over. But then you hear Sagi, who's this up and coming entrepreneur who is applying the same principles, and it's working for you.
Yeah.
You're building the business. I take it. Are you debt free yet? I don't want to get personal, but are you close, or
um,
did you reach it,
no,
or?
I mean, I've like out of decision. I'm keeping my debt right now and investing a lot in the business. So it's like a decision I'm
Okay,
making.
perfect.
Um,
But you could have been debt free, right? You
yeah,
could have taken that money and paid off. Basically,
yeah. So
you're choosing to allocate the funds somewhere else.
totally. I've been actually like first of all, like my debt was like my main, like I have a couple like debts. I had a couple ones, but my large one was 28K, which is the month that I earned 28K, and
Oh, okay.
it's also the month in February I launched my first online course for the Israeli market for designers, and I made 100 like 28K out of that course, out of just that launch in 2 weeks.
Wow. In 1 month?
Yeah, in just 2 weeks. The lunch was just like,
In 2 weeks?
yeah. So it was like I'm now making more money than I ever made, but yeah, I'm keeping the debt just because I'm reinvesting into, and mostly by the way for self growth and developing that, like getting around amazing people and entrepreneurs. And so part of it is like I'm on Pat Flynn's mastermind group now, and um and I'm on like different kind of like I have different coaches. So yeah.
That's awesome. I love that you're reinvesting in yourself, and you're not worried. You can pay that debt off. You've approved that your business is successful, and you're generating the income that you need, but you're saying, "You know what? I need to invest in myself for this growth, so that debt can sit and wait,
Totally.
because it's more important that I invest in myself." So I congratulate you, bud, for taking action on it, because so many people, let that fear. And let's kind of get into that. Let's talk about Calvin and you getting him as a coach.
Uh-huh.
Um, I know you finally got fed up with the inconsistent results that you were getting. You knew you were a smart guy. You've listened to the podcast like me. You've probably read a lot of books. You watched a lot of videos, and you finally realized that, you know what? I'd like to get some coaching from somebody that's done it, that can kind of show me the ins and outs, and help me eliminate some of the mistakes that I'm going to make at the beginning.
Yeah.
And like I said, we had Calvin. For you guys listening, if you haven't heard the episode, it was back in episode 24. Go back and listen to the interview with Calvin Wayman. He was actually the coach here for Sagi. So I had Calvin on, and I saw Calvin with, I don't know if you've seen this, Sagi, but did you ever see his little panel, where they get guests up on when they have an event, and they sit in chairs and they answer questions?
Yeah.
There's a great video where Calvin was at Nick Unsworth Life on Fire event,
Uh-huh.
and Calvin's sitting in a chair, and someone asked him a question, and he tells his story basically. And I told you, dude, I was hooked, bud.
Yeah.
He had such passion. He talked about his struggles. He was raw. He was vulnerable. He told his story, and he was basically saying, "I'm like you." He's probably told you this. I'm just an average dude.
Yeah.
He likes to say, "I'm nothing special. I'm an average dude, man. I can do that." I was sitting out there where you were. So I'll send a link to you if you haven't seen the video. But just that speech was so powerful, and when I saw that, I reached out to him, And again, he was like you, gracious, and said, "Sure, man, I'll come on. I'd love to share my story and stuff and get my message out."
Yeah,
So it was powerful.
nice.
So tell me, I knew you decided to bite the bullet, and obviously it's been great. You've been enjoying Calvin, and Calvin's really done a lot of great stuff
Uh-huh.
for you. What are some of the, like, maybe 2 or 3 biggest takeaways you've got from working with Calvin that have helped you in your business and your life?
So the biggest takeaway that I've had with Kelvin was, one is like, I've seen the ROI, like the return on investment, on getting a coach. And
Yeah.
getting a coach, is something that I learned it myself the hard way, because, like you said in the intro, like I told Kevin no the first time that he offered me his coaching services, and I reached out to him. And I believe in karma and in situations that happen. And I'm like, I reached out to Calvin just to ask him a question. I was like, dude, like, I was inspired by your story that you was in depth and you got a coach and he took you out of it. Like, right now I'm in Israel and I don't know any coaches here that are trying to do, like, people that are trying to do what I'm trying to do, like grow an online business and a following and an audience. Therefore, like, I don't know anybody here that I can hire as my coach. What do you have any suggestions on how to find a good coach? And he's like, dude, I'm just starting to coach now. So if you want, I can coach you. So that opportunity, I'm like, oh my God, like, this is like really happening for me. This is amazing. And then he told me the price, and everybody around me, my environment said no. Out of, by the way, like, the regular reasons, like the reasons that a lot of us convince ourselves not to do stuff, because it's not fucking reasonable to pay so much money for someone who's from the US. He's not from Israel. He doesn't know how life is here. He doesn't have any coaching diploma or any kind of certification. He's never done coaching before. How would I know he's really good at coaching? He might be a good author, a good entrepreneur, but how would I know he's good at coaching? He offered me only half an hour a week. And the people around me are like, dude, like, coaches sit with you face to face for an hour and a half, like, for half of the money that you're paying, that you're going to pay Kelvin. So with all that said, why would you ever want to take Calvin as a coach? It's just a stupid mistake if you do that. And that's why I said, eventually I was like, okay, no, like, and that was a feeling that I felt was wrong. I felt in my gut feeling was telling me, Sagi, take Calvin, Sagi, take Calvin. And that was like before I was in debt. After, like, 6 months later, in total debt and really in a bad situation, when I reached out and he told me the price. And at the first call, he told me, like, Sagi, the price is going to be twice that when you reach out again. Like, I'm just saying, like, because I'm starting now, but I'm
Oh,
gonna I'm
wow.
gonna double the price. And when I reached out again, he's like, dude, the price has doubled. Like, I'm you can have my help, but the price is double now. So it was a shock to me. I was already in debt, and this guy that I'm reaching out to again, instead of helping me, tells me that he can offer me his coaching services, which are now twice the price. And like, all the things that are like should bring me down from this. And I was like, okay, so my gut feeling tells me this is right for me and this can help me. So yeah, eventually I did it. And I'm really, really happy that I did. And after that, like, later on, about 5-6 months later, I launched the brand Mindful and Ruthless. And that's exactly that: to be mindful, be living in the moment, have mindset right, and be ruthless with your gut feeling. And that's like what I stand for, and that's why my community is called Mindful and Ruthless. So yeah.
I love it. I love how you said, Sagi, that you trusted your gut. I think a lot of people, and again, this kind of goes back to some of the woo-woo stuff. Some people think, oh, they're so analytical and everything's in their mind that they want to think things out and do a pro and con list and try and make the best decision. And sometimes the best decision is what your gut's telling you. There's
Yeah,
a reason you're resonating and you're feeling that. There is obviously a connection to Calvin. You knew his story. You knew he got coaching, and obviously, if he became successful, like you said, he may not be the best coach, but obviously you found out he is a good coach. But he learned some great stuff from some great people, so you were going to be able to tap into that with what he learned.
exactly. And he also taught me something that I think that can help the audience right now, because I'm really thinking about how to, like, if anybody in the audience right now is like a struggling entrepreneur, because listen, like, I've been there, like, and by the way, us entrepreneurs, we always struggle in a way. I mean, it's like the
Yes.
struggle never ends. It's not going to get easy. Right.
It's
But
like an MMA fighter, man. You're always
yeah,
in the octagon.
Totally, man, totally. And getting a coach, and you're giving the MMA thing, which is amazing. I think like I'm looking at myself like in the ring. And by the way, I come from martial arts background, so I was in the ring a couple of
Oh,
times.
do you? Okay,
But
great.
yeah, but like I'm like I'm seeing Kelvin and the coaches on my corner. I'm seeing like I'm in the fight, I'm in the ring, I'm playing the game, and I want to get the best people around me in my corner to help me out.
Yes.
And that's what I'm doing now. Kevin taught me something very, very important, and I want to say this to everyone right now. Like, if you take advice from anyone, and better yet, hire a coach, this person should be a couple things. One, he should be in the same game as you. Don't hire a coach which is only a coach if you want to be an entrepreneur, because he doesn't have the same ambitions as you. He doesn't know this world. Okay, so don't hire and don't take advice from anyone who's not in the same game as you. And Calvin always says, like, I take advice from my mom on cooking, but I'll never take advice from my mom on entrepreneurship, right? So like, maybe some people in the audience, moms are entrepreneurs, but again, like, my mom is a good cook. So anyways, so take advice from people in the same game as you. Two, make sure that the people that you take advice from created success in their field. Okay, because like you might just take advice from someone that says he claimed success, like he created some kind of success, but has he really? Do you have proof that the person created success? And that's all the thing that, like, a lot of criticism about people building businesses on top of like teaching other people how to build businesses comes from. That's because a lot of people really didn't build any business, and then they tell people how to build their business, and it's kind of like a bad loop. But there are some people that actually build businesses and actually created success. In order to teach other people how to build businesses, that's a good thing. So you should listen to those people if they created success. And the third thing, which is very, very important, is, does the person that you're taking advice from or getting coached by have the same set of values as you do? And when I say like the same set of values is like, for instance, if you believe that I like kids suck, and shouldn't, like, people shouldn't raise kids, then don't take advice from a family man. Um, I'm just like giving the complete opposite of what I'm looking for, right? Like, because most of
Right.
us just want what I call the full stack life. And the people that are good are also like the people that are good with their lives, that have their lifestyle, also have their business going, also are good spouses, or good husbands, good fathers, good, like, or wives or whatever. Like, so we're looking for the full stack people that actually have everything going on in all other aspects of life, like that they're healthy, right? Like, if you're going on a
Yes.
diet, don't take advice from someone who's obese. Like, it's like the kind of things that you should get, and look at exactly the same kind of like values and where that person has success, and take advice from the people that actually really build that success around you. So I saw Calvin, like, he has now he had one kid, but they were pregnant with the second, and I was like, okay, he's a family man. So he's a family man. He has the same set of values as me. And by the way, there's another bonus. He's just a couple years ahead of me in the game. So he's not like, like Pat Flynn is one of my coaches now, but Pat Flynn is years ahead of me in a way. Like, taking
Right.
advice from Pat Flynn right now is amazing because he has that perspective. And but again, like, taking advice from Kelvin is just fresh. It's like really raw. It was just right now. So seeing Kelvin grow and learning from him right now, I can apply the same things. And I believe, like, right now I can also teach other people, like, that are just like a year behind me or so. And that's the best thing to see, like, to learn from people that just made it, that just like right now are creating success, like, are a couple levels ahead of you. Because you can basically imitate their moves and really learn from them in a very accurate way. So again, if just to recap, so same game as you, that's important. Created success and has the same set of values in you, and a bonus, which is not a must buy bonus, is just like a couple, just a bit ahead of you, and not really just like far ahead.
I love it. We're going to go ahead and definitely break those out and have those in the show notes because I think that's so important. And like you said, Calvin's still got that hunger. It's still kind of somewhat new to him,
Yeah,
especially the coaching game. So I'm sure he's like loving coaching you, because you're a doer. Sagi, you take action. So he's telling you things, you're taking action, and you're getting results, which I'm sure is thrilling him. Besides just making you happy and thrilled.
yeah.
Now, what did you learn different from Pat? share something that you learned a little bit different from him, that he's got a little bit more experience. What has he brought to your life and your business from his experience in coaching?
So right now that I'm really close to Pat, close meaning like, we're back and forth on Slack and we're having one-on-one calls, we're having group calls. I'm seeing his activity. Basically, I see when he's asleep and when he's awake. I'm like kind of like really
Yeah.
into his life right now. We're just a group of 15 people and we were selected out of like hundreds of thousands. So
Wow.
yeah, it's like a really small group.
Congratulations.
Thanks. And so I'm really learning from him how to I called him like I brought him also on my show and he talked about like Pat's a badass. Like he's a really like he's a badass. Like he doesn't look like that. He's the nicest guy,
Yeah.
right? He's like the nicest guy, always so humble and kind of like soft, right? But this guy is a
Right.
fucking badass. Like he's getting up at like 5 a.m. every morning, taking cold showers, like trying to keep healthy, practicing meditation,
Yeah.
reflections, journaling, like everything that that the big entrepreneurs do. Pat's doing that. Like he is a family, he is a family man, but he also really knows when to hustle. And when he's in lunch mode, and he's telling his wife and kids like, I'm not gonna see you this week, but next week we're gonna take a vacation or something like. So he really knows how to get everything around him in order and in like in terms of lifestyle and business. And he's ruthless about it. Like if you try to talk to Pat right now, and everybody obviously like so many people are probably trying to reach out to them, and he's like no, I don't have time, right? And also when I'm booking a call with him, I should be right on time, and the call ends exactly at the time that he said it will end, like half an hour, and that's it, we're done. Like because he's really like he's a badass. Like he's keeping everything like in complete control and discipline, and he's doing the things that are leading to his success. Getting up at 5 a.m., reading the right books, learning the right materials, networking in the right places. This guy is in do mode, full do mode. And I believe that every entrepreneur that imitates this and like really gets into do mode, like after Pat talked to me about the cold showers and everything, like on my show when I interviewed him, I started doing that. I started like waking up early. I read The Miracle Morning. I read On the Day that he recommended. And I started like doing a lot of things like to better my health, to better my nutrition, to wake up earlier, to drink like every morning, to drink. I apparently I drank only water from this filter, and this is not good. So
Oh,
you need some salts basically. So I squeeze a half a lemon, put some salt in, because that's the minerals your body needs when you wake up in the morning. Apparently, like I didn't know these things, but I'm studying them in order to really get high achievement, like to really be at peak performance. And that's exactly what Pat is doing. Pat is basically feeding his body healthy stuff, and working out and keeping everything in check with his family and doing whatever he needs to set himself up for success. And if you look also at other entrepreneurs like Tony Robbins and everything, those people are like full of those like little gadgets, like small earbuds that you put in your ear, because apparently your ears can accept light. So when you wake up early in the morning, that sets you up right. If you put those earbuds and they put like some kind of specific light into your like ear tunnels. So yeah, so like all those little things that you make sure that you do right now, those little habits that you have around, that you put around yourself to create the best version of you. And it's really really hard, because again, those are habits, and habits are hard to form. So whenever you do them, you're succeeding, you're taking yourself to the next level of you. And Pat's doing that all the time, and it's under the radar. Nobody's talking about it. He's not talking about it. I am the one like that really dug into him, like to ask him about it on my show, and he really he shared it graciously, and like didn't have a problem with sharing it. But those are big entrepreneurs that we see. I bet Johnny Dumas talks about it, so he talks about everything he's doing. But like Pat Flynn doesn't talk about it, and he actually does all these things.
that's awesome. I appreciate it. I got to listen to that episode. What episode is that you interviewed him?
You can just go on in the Facebook group in Mindful and Ruthless, and check out
Oh, okay.
by the time, by the way, this episode comes out, I've just been approved to iTunes as well with my show. So basically, you can find Mindful and Ruthless on iTunes as well, and subscribe to the podcast. But it's also on my live weekly show in the Facebook group, Mindful and Ruthless.
Fantastic. I'm going to check it out today, bud.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. And that just proves you're a good interviewer, because if you can draw stuff out of people that they normally don't share, I think that's so valuable. And I congratulate you on going that route, because I'm sure Pat gets the usual questions, over and over again. And for you to draw into something different because, one, you have a passion with it, you want to better yourself. And I think that's one of the big keys to coaching as well, is you're finding out these little things, not just the business A to Z, the marketing plan, stuff like that. You're finding out these mindset tips. You're finding out these health hacks. You're finding out how are they setting themselves up for success?
Yeah.
How are they so strict with their time restrictions? Not in a mean way, but in a way that you know what, I can't do certain things and I'm going to have to say no. And I'm going to schedule a time, but it's going to be a set time and we're going to work for this and we're going to be all in, but when it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
And those are the things you need to apply. So I mean, kudos. It sounds like you're adapting morning rituals and habits, right?
Yeah, totally. I'm totally about it, and I'm just, again, like, I'm seeing all these big entrepreneurs. They're doing it, like they're actually creating the best version of them. Then going back to mindset, by the way, mindset is like the way you think about yourself and success, right? And you have confidence. So they say your success is only as big and as the way you think about yourself. So it's really true. Like, you cannot be successful if you don't think you're successful, and if your personal growth is like at a low point. If you're not really creating the best version of you in terms of mindset and habits, then yes, your success will not get there as well. Like, so you really have to. You can get all these, quick wins. I mean, you might not have a successful 100K launch tomorrow with an online course, right? If you're just starting out, but you can wake up in the
Right.
morning every day at like 5:30, and then like do these rituals and basically better yourself, and your success will grow with that, basically improving the chance of you getting to the 100K launch. So it's all affecting everything. Is affecting everything.
Yeah, I totally agree. I couldn't add any more to that. That's perfect, bud. Let me ask you though, around mindset, um, growing up, did you always have a strong kind of growth mindset? What were you like growing up? Was this something you had to learn or
Yeah, I think well, I was in martial arts, coming to think about it, and it's a great question, by the way. You're a very good interviewer as well. I'm just like
thank you.
I'm thinking about it. I was in martial arts like a long time, right? I started out not so disciplined, but martial arts have really brought me that kind of like discipline. Thinking, like reflecting back, knowing what I know today, and like that I learned in the past, like let's say, I don't know, a year or so, or like 2 years even, like I can apply the law of attraction. I would have applied the law of attraction to my martial arts, and I was for sure would be able to get more success in fights and tournaments, which I haven't. I was not successful. I was not so successful at tournaments and stuff. Um, and it's like, the things that I know now, like I would really crush it if I knew back then. But I think what really helped me and shaped me kind of is the army. Here in Israel, we have to do the army. Um, so I was a fighter in the Israeli army for 3 years. And being in tough situations kind of like brings you into a mode where you have some perspective and stuff, I guess.
Right.
Um, and also, like in army, like in boot camp, you probably know the stories and everything, like of like you get up at like 6 a.m. or like even earlier than that. But by 7 a.m., like before most people in the world start their day, you accomplished so much just because they're like running
Yes.
it, like 3 minutes, you did that, another 3 minutes, you did that, 3 minutes, you did that. Like, and you find yourself like, already like after breakfast, and like folded all your tents and got all the weapons cleaned, and like everything is like so many stuff has been done by 7 a.m. and you're like, whoa. So
Yeah.
I got that as well, like the perspective of time, because a lot of people are like, I don't have time, or I don't have time. Like, we all have time. Like, we're not busy. Not like Brian, you and me, we're not busy. Who's busy? Elon Musk. That person is
Yeah.
busy. Um, so
Exactly.
yeah.
No, that's great. Now, what about obviously there were times during this journey when you were building your business, and especially when you didn't have a coach at the time. What did you do, Sagi, to overcome like that negative chatter. You know, that's that monkey mind that always pops up that's always telling you you're not good enough or
Yeah.
don't do this, you know, you're not experienced enough and how are you going to get a big client when you're new? And what did you do to overcome those while you were struggling? And then maybe share also what you've learned through coaching or your experience that you do now that's different that helps you to overcome that negative mind chatter.
Um, so I think that that's such a thing that we all have in a way. Like what I learned, like, especially in the previous couple months, like being around Pat Flynn's mastermind group, like I surrounded myself like no with crazy doers. These are people that have 100K launches, even more. Like and the people in the group, I'm seeing like super successful online entrepreneurs, and everybody's like sharing their feelings like completely open, like because we trust each other, and people are like sharing that they feel unworthy and they feel like sometimes they feel they're selling something which they're not worthy of teaching, and like coaching programs and stuff, and you're like, what? Like this is like one of the most successful people that I know in the world. Like how can that person say something like that? And we all kind of like, I can talk about how you should always feel good about yourself and how, but I can really say that I see the most successful entrepreneurs having that imposter syndrome and getting into those negative mindsets sometimes. But I think the things that differs experienced entrepreneurs, and I say experienced in like, I wouldn't say successful, I would just say experienced entrepreneurs, is when they see that negative mindset come up. One, they have already by then surrounded by themselves with people that say, oh no, you're good, man, like really, like that support them and lift them up. And two, they know in their own mind how to suppress those feelings because they understand, truly understand, out of experience, that momentum only has two ways. And that's something I really believe in. I believe in the momentum has only two ways. It's only up or down. There is no status quo. There's no middle ground. Basically, whenever you have negative feelings, they create a snowball, like, and those can come down to basically really putting you down, like as an entrepreneur, as a person, like the whole day can go south. You probably know that, like we all had those moments like we're like, oh my god, like I'm not feeling that, and like your whole day looks like that sometimes. And again, negative mindset, and we talk about neural networks in your mind creating around that. So now I know whenever I have negative feelings, I'm like, neural network, I know right now negative neural networks are being created inside my brain, and those are cancer. I don't want those. Like those are really bad. And so I must think positive thoughts right now. I must close this session of like, okay, no, I'm not worthy, whatever, like close it off. I am worthy. I have created success. I know I'm good. I know I can do better. I know I can reach higher, and I know I'm good enough. And let's continue with my day. So at the beginning of my coaching with Calvin, a lot of our sessions were just like, Calvin, I feel so like I haven't done anything. I'm not good enough. Like even though I already started seeing success from
Right.
the start, like working with him, I was going back and forth with him, and like full on, like the half-hour calls that we had only once a week, like some of them went fully on just like motivation, like a pep talk.
Yeah.
And I was just like crying out to Calvin, like, Calvin, oh, I'm not good enough. No, 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 no. And you know what? Like I know a lot of people are like that. And by the way, like now that I'm coaching some people, like they're also coming up to me, and when I'm talking to them before, I'm saying like, sometimes we'll talk about your strategy and your vision and everything, and sometimes we'll talk about just motivation because you'll need it. And I think motivation for us as entrepreneurs is fuel, and we really need it. It's very important for us. So whatever gets you motivated, just go ahead and get yourself motivated. Like if you need a vacation, go on a vacation. If that will get you motivated, that's fuel, right? Like the money doesn't matter. Like I said, it's an investment. If you need to, I don't know, go outside for a walk. If you need to just like sit and meditate and stop your whole busy day, although it's super busy, and just sit down and meditate. Um, do whatever you need to get yourself motivated because you know that like your fuel matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's so important and I'm glad you shared that because even the successful people or people that are having success, they still get those thoughts that come in. And it's amazing like you said when you're in the group and you're seeing someone that to you is, maybe a couple years ahead or successful quote maybe by their, results if you're going off of that. and you see
Uh-huh.
that they're still struggling with some of these same things. It's like, whoa, this you have that too? It just kind of helps though. It makes you feel like, we're all in this together. We're all having these struggles. Now, I
Yeah,
could talk to you all day, Sagi. This has been great. I want to respect your time. I know you have prior time commitments here. So let me ask you a few more questions before we close up here.
sure.
Um, let me ask you on here. You mentioned something and I love it, and I want you to explain it. What is commit first, carry out later principle?
Oh, okay. So that's a principle that I really believe in. I believe in like so going back, I have a few podcasts. I have two podcasts. I've had two podcasts before my Mindful and Ruthless podcast, which is now live on iTunes. I have my Pixel Perfect podcast, which is in Hebrew for my Israeli audience, and I have the Hacking UI podcast, which is
Wow, you're a busy
um,
guy.
yeah, no, like both of them right now are not active anymore. But
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
like I had those.
Gotcha. Okay.
And in the
You're still
Hacking UI
busy.
podcast, yeah, still busy. In the Hacking UI podcast, I interviewed very successful entrepreneurs. Like I interviewed Matt Mullenweg, who's the founder of WordPress. I interviewed David Okenyuv, who's the founder of Typeform. I interviewed Jason Zook, who's an amazing entrepreneur. Like I interviewed tons of like amazing people that built like amazing businesses online and offline. And then I also interviewed amazing designers. And the thing that I noticed about every entrepreneur, at least, like or anyone with entrepreneurial efforts, is that they have one thing in common, and that's whatever they did, they committed first, and then they carried it out. Meaning, and that's something that I've done all my life, like basically like all my entrepreneurial life. That's something I've done. All my successes come from committing first, carrying out later. When I launched Pixel Perfect, the blog here in Israel, I announced it first a week before I opened it into a large conference of like it was like a large kind of like a gathering of marketing people, but it was like 300 people in the room, and there was open mic, and I went up on the mic and I'm like, in 1 week from now I'm launching like an amazing design blog here in Israel. It's called Pixel Perfect COIL, and I didn't have the domain. I went back home that same night, bought the domain. A week later, uploaded the site, and like almost everything I did. When I left my day job at SimilarWeb, I said I'm leaving, and I didn't know how I'm going to live and how I'm going to make money. But I committed first, carried out later, and then like everything that they do, these people, these amazing entrepreneurs, I found out that they also do it. They also do the same thing. They commit first and then they carry it out. And I can give you like a concrete example is like when I launched my design course. Um, so basically every course I launch, by the way, I launched a couple, but so when I'm launching courses, what I do is I announce the course, I pre-sell it, then I make the course.
Ah,
So
okay.
like sometimes I make part of the materials beforehand, but when people buy the course, there's no course out there. Like there's nothing yet. So it's like something that is very powerful because once people buy, you have money, and you're saying, "Oh my God, now I have way more motivation and energy to create this thing and make it come to life." Oh, so I come up with some challenges now in making this course. It doesn't matter. People actually paid me, and they expect to get whatever they need to get, and that's why this this needs to happen right now. They need to get this course. I need to deliver, and I will just find a way to tackle those obstacles along the way. So that's commit first, carry out later, and it goes to anything you want to launch, anything, a podcast, a blog, a newsletter, like anything you want to launch with your business, or like it's just like to commit first and then carry it out. And then later on, I heard in the 10x Rule by Grant Cardone. It's an amazing book to any of you who haven't read it yet. He talks about it too. He's saying like first commit, then carry it out, like then figure out how to make it happen. And again, like the most successful entrepreneurs, they do that. I bet you did too.
Oh yeah, I love that book. And then he's also got the one. What was it? Sell more or something? Or
Yeah, Sell or Be Sold. That's an
yeah,
amazing
sell or
book.
be sold. So yeah, great. Uncle G, he's good.
Uncle
He's
G.
he's I listen
Yeah.
to his videos and stuff. All
Yeah.
right, final question for you, Sagi.
Sure.
What is a final message that you want to leave the mindset listeners with? Something that they can actually take action with, some piece of advice that they can, leaving this interview here, go and immediately put into their business or and life.
So, like I said, the thing that I'm trying to create in my life is called the full stack life. Like what I'm trying to create, I come from a full stack development background. full stack design background, and in that background, I was good at in design. Like I was good at marketing, I was good at business, I was good at like design, actual pixel design. So I was good at a lot of stuff like UX research, and I had to put all those together into my field. Now that I'm an entrepreneur, I'm saying like I'm building a full stack life. I want to be a good husband. I want to be a good dad. I want to be a good entrepreneur. I want to be healthy. I want to have success at health and my sports that I'm doing. So I want everything going on for me in my life. I want everything to be good, money, like spirituality, everything. But the way to do that is not only the law of attraction, and it requires to have a vision and to act on that vision. And that's exactly what Kelvin did with me. And that's exactly what I actually created, like a series of 3 videos that train people how to build their own vision, including sharing the actual tool that I use, which is a spreadsheet, in order to work on my vision, like on a weekly basis. So I basically shared a 3-part video series where I teach it how to actually build the vision and the actual tool, which is a spreadsheet, in order to carry it out in your own life. That's super, super actionable. You can do it right now. And it's in my Facebook group. So what you do is you go onto Facebook, join the Mindful and Ruthless group, and then immediately on the welcome message, you'll get the link to get that training. The training, by the way, I built it in a conversational way. I built it as a messenger bot, meaning like it's kind of like you're really messaging me back and forth, like I'm kind of like DMing you. I built it in a very personal way because I built it like I wanted to have it if I was on the other end. So this is the most I like, although it's just 3 videos and I've done tons of videos in my lifetime. I think these are like the most important set of training videos that I ever created, because this is something that changes people's lives. Like having a vision for your business and life and managing it week by week and doing everything that I say in a training will transform your life, and for free. Like this is something that I give up for free. When you start the messaging bot, you can opt in with your email if you want updates from me, but you don't have to. It's completely free. I don't make you fill in your email. I don't make you anything. You can even leave the group after you want if you want to. Yeah, so that's something that's super actionable that people can do right now, and you can actually do it today. Just clear yourself so like an hour's time, like 40 minutes to an hour, and just sit down and do it.
Perfect. We'll definitely have the link to that in the group, and I appreciate you offering that because, like I told you before, I'm part of your great group, and I haven't yet, but I will be going through those videos. So I encourage everybody to go through Mindful and Ruthless Facebook group, get involved. Sagi's in there constantly. I see him posting great stuff. He's going to have awesome interviews with amazing people, and you're going to be able to learn what he's learning. He's going to be sharing how he's growing. And Sagi, you've done a fantastic job. I'm proud of you. I'm going to keep following you. I'm looking forward to seeing you continue to grow and have more success.
Thank you so
And
much,
I
man.
appreciate you. Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time, coming on the show and sharing your story and what you're learning and your mindset, and help my audience to apply some of these things to their business and their life.
Yeah, man. Like
Where
Brian,
else
thank
can
you
we
so
reach?
much.
Oh, my pleasure, bud. Where else can we reach you at? What's the other places besides the Facebook group if someone wants to connect or learn more about you?
So it's mostly at the Facebook group, because I'm really like, if you're into mindset and you do like entrepreneurship, like I'm sharing my numbers there. I'm sharing how much I'm earning. Sometimes I'm sharing like my methods, my strategies. Like I'm sharing behind the scenes. I'm sharing everything over there. So the best way to connect with me and kind of like follow me is there. But also Instagram, super active on Instagram. So you can find me also on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, once again, thanks so much, Sagi. I appreciate the time, and this has been great.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brian, and everybody here. Thank you for listening. If I can help anybody with any piece of information or tip, back when I was a struggling entrepreneur, I needed those tips, and so thank you so much for giving me a stage to share those.
Absolutely. And everybody, thanks so much for joining again. I love you guys. And until next time, I wish you guys a brilliant life. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I really and truly appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this episode and want to learn more about developing a strong, successful mindset, then go ahead and subscribe by clicking the I'm in button below this podcast. Each week I try to deliver great content that you can learn and apply immediately to help develop a better mindset so you can build a great online business and hopefully a better life. So if you like what we're trying to do here at The Marketer's Mindset, then help us spread the message and give us a rating and review on iTunes so we can help more online marketers. Lastly, I want to hear from you. So if you have a topic you'd like us to discuss or an online marketer that you would like us to interview, then send me an email to brian@themarketersmindset.com. Thanks again. I love you guys. And until next week, take care, and I wish you a brilliant life.